All righty. I'm just going to give it a second here. I think we should be good to go. I'm just going to give it a second here. Oh, I'm extremely loud. Okay, one sec. Okay. All right, we're just going to give it about 30 seconds here. So usually whenever the stream starts, there's like 30 seconds of lag, and we're waiting for the notifications to go out. And then once that ends, we're good to go. One sec. It's always literally like 30 seconds of lag. I'm not sure why. It's always. Okay. I don't know why my stream always does this little lag thing. Give me 1 second, guys. Well, this one's taking a little bit longer than usual, ain't it? All right. Give me 1 sec. Just gonna kind of let it play out. 1 sec. 1 sec. Give me a second. Okay. All right, there we go. Sweet. Sorry about that. It's every time. I have no idea why, but we're gonna try to get the stream going up here in a second. I go through this random lag, and I'm not sure why. It's almost every single time I try to stream. It's I don't know. It's weird. So we're just gonna I know, dude. It's like every single time I start streaming. It's always good until I start the stream, and then it's just lag city. So I'm gonna give it another minute. It usually is over by now, so may not be able to make it happen today. Let me run a quick speed test. It's annoying. It's always me. It's always me. You guys can always hear my voice. It's just the screen that's lagging. Not sure. But we always gotta give it a few minutes to let the stream start anyway, so it's all good. Yeah, me and my internet service provider, we're gonna have to throw down. Well, guys, I intended on going live today, but this is kind of feeling like it's not it's not gonna work. You guys know I'm technical difficulty Tyler, so yeah, they came out last month. They tried to come out and fix it, but it's I don't know. It's always random lag with me. Yeah, it seems like it's working itself out though. I'm just gonna give it a second. Let me run a quick speed test. Not sure. Yeah, easy to restore. Good call. That's exactly what we're talking about. So we can get the stream going, obviously. Well, guys, we're gonna give it like another 2 minutes. If I can't get this thing up in 2 minutes, I'm gonna have to call them out here again and try to get this going. Hopefully, I'm telling the people rewatching this to jump to like 5 minutes in. But not sure. Yeah, it's always the sound. The sound is always good. It's literally always the screen. Let me just try working something else out. Hold on. Let me do this, and then let me just do this for a second. Let me see if this helps. Because sometimes whenever I just turn my camera completely off, it helps. Probably the most frustrating thing about a Tyler Hill stream is the technical difficulties. Yeah, not sure, guys. Not 100% sure what's going on. Okay. Well, here we are. Okay, I'm gonna try to work this out. Let me go figure out exactly what's going on with this. I'm debating to keep the just. I might just keep the stream on. I may just keep the stream on, and I might just reset this real quick. Um, because the thing is, my even if I do a are we good? I don't know. Yeah, it's just gonna be weird. Okay, so look, this is what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do really quickly is I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna reset this router. I'm gonna keep the stream on, and I'm just gonna kind of. I'll just be back. So I'm gonna give it like 5 minutes. Just tune back in 5 minutes. See if we're live. If not, I'm gonna shut it down. I'll just make a normal video. It's kind of annoying, but what can you do? Okay. Yeah, I'll be back. Okay, hold on. As weird as it is, as soon as I went to walk away, it looked like the lag stopped. I don't know. Let's see. Hold on. Literally, as soon as I stood up from my chair, the lag went away. Uh, and now we're back. I think we're back. I think it's back. I meant the lag. It's not my webcam, guys. It's my internet. It's my upload speed. It always starts doing this whenever I start streaming. I have no idea why. And now we're back. I think we're back. I think it's back. The lag. It's not my webcam. Yeah, I don't know. It's not my webcam that's usually doing it. What I can do is I can stop cam and just show you guys. So what's going to happen is like just watch the numbers on my screen. The numbers are going to continue to lag. I'm not 100% sure, guys. Probably just going to have to go and yeah, I'm gonna just reset it. BRB. All right, I'll be back in 5 minutes, and we'll just see if it works or not. All right. Okay. I believe we are good to go. I believe we are good to go. If it starts to lag, I'm probably just going to shut down the stream. But I think we're good. I'm not 100% sure. I'm kind of sketchy about turning on the webcam, but I think we're okay. Okay. So with that in mind, I think we're good to go ahead and get started here. Now, a piece of me is almost considering just restarting this entire stream. A piece of me is considering we're starting this entire stream. We're 17 minutes in right now, and the people who are rewatching it, that's just going to kind of be a bit annoying. Um, I don't know. Maybe you know what? Honestly, let's just go ahead. Okay, I'm not even going to do anything now that we're good. Let's just stay like this. Okay, so we're gonna kind of talk about it. A piece of me wants to turn my webcam on just to see if that's what's causing it. Let's just see. Let's see. I might be real dumb. Okay, let's do this. If I turn this webcam on right now and I start lagging again, what I'm gonna do is restart the stream without the webcam. Okay, that's the game plan. So let's try it. Imagine it just starts lagging immediately. Okay, I think we're okay. All right. So here we are. What's up, people? 17 minutes later. 17 minutes later, and we are finally in this stream. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead. Let's get started. I'm not going to waste any more of your time as I've done quite a good job of that today. But you guys know, I guess just needed a bit of a little restart. That was weird. That was very annoying, but here we are, and we are good to go. So let's just jump straight into it. Okay, so what we have been seeing a lot recently over on the channel is that the webcam is covered by what? What do you mean? He's not reading chat. Oh, you guys can't even can't see the webcam. Honestly, I don't even care. I don't. At this point, it's all good. It is okay. uh, let's see. So anyway, so yeah, so what we've been paying, a lot of attention to recently has been the fact that we have been seeing some decent. Oh, I'm back. Okay, hello. So again, what we were talking about is that this recovery has been looking more and more like August of 2021, and I've been talking about that like consistently, right? And the way we're seeing this whole thing play out is getting more and more and more similar. Okay, now let me explain why. I'm going to explain what the message. So the title of of today's video is, basically an important message, because there is an important message. There's something we need to be paying attention to, guys. We're going to get into Solana. We're going to get into all of our altcoins. Let's just get into this right now. Okay, we're going to get into altcoins in a while. So the biggest thing again is that what we've been paying attention to has been the fact that what we're seeing from crypto is looking more and more and more similar to what we saw back here. Now, I know that it didn't look like this, right? A large crash followed by kind of boringness and then the breakout. But it was a very similar thing in terms of the levels we went down to, in terms of the length, in terms of all of these things were very similar. And the growth we're seeing out of this is almost identical. It's almost identical. Now, do understand it's not going to work out exactly the same. We're not going to see this play out the exact same way as we did back in these days. But what we do know is that these things don't necessarily, Lark Davis, my favorite crypto YouTuber there is, they don't always repeat, but they do often rhyme, right? In which they will look very similar, and we can use those similarities in order to get a gauge of where we think these things can go and how we can play it, okay? And so what that means for us at this point, kind of how this whole thing has been transpiring is that with this breakout that we're seeing, these two are very similar, extremely similar. And something that's happening on many of our indicators says that we are going to need to see these indicators reset pretty soon, or it might actually, we might just be in a bull trap, which looks like us continuing back down below 35, back towards $30,000. Okay. Now I know that's a lot, and people are going to say, well, Tyler, don't say that. Don't spread FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I don't care about none of that bullshit. Let's just talk facts, right? Take your emotions, throw them out the door, then come back in and let's talk right. Let's talk logistically. Okay. So what we know is that as we do start to pay attention to something that is probably one of the most important indicators that there is, which is the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, We know that it is a really good way for us to gauge when the bulls are getting exhausted and how that may affect the price historically and, kind of future tense speaking. Now, what we can see going on our RSI is probably one of the strongest cases of bearish divergence that we've seen in a long time. And by a long time, I mean since back here. Now, what is that? What is bearish divergence? Well, let's kind of go under the assumption that generally speaking, your RSI is going to move in similar direction and at the similar pace of your price. So as you can see, as we started to see the price working its way down, the RSI was doing the same. As the price is working its way up, the RSI is doing the same. But sometimes we have these things called divergences, in which your RSI starts to move in a different pace, at a different speed, at different rates than your price. And as it does that, it will give you kind of clues and signs of the overall trend in which we're in at this point, and the exhaustion in which we may be seeing from the bulls. Because generally, let's kind of talk about it in this way: the higher up on the RSI you're getting, the stronger your bulls are getting, up until you get to a point where they usually hit their peak. The lower on the RSI you're getting is the strength of your bulls is weakening, and we're starting to see the price really decline as the bears are having more success. Think about it that way. And what you can see at this point is extreme divergence, in which realistically, at this point in which we are on the price, right, we would realistically still be right down here on your RSI if it was going to stay exactly the same, run exactly in tandem and parallel with each other. But that's not what's happening. What we saw happen is that it took a very, very strong move from the bulls. I mean, as much strength as they possibly could muster to break this macro trend line. What is a macro trend line? It is a trend line that generally runs for more of a long-term perspective, whether it's usually a couple months, whether it's usually a couple weeks. Okay, usually not days. It's something more, on your longer time frames that takes your daily or weekly charts to see. And what we can see is that we saw a breakout. And now the fact that we are seeing some divergence after seeing a breakout is common. Why? Because it's going to take us a lot more strength to break out of this and then recapture this level, as it would if we simply didn't have this level of resistance above us and we just worked our way back up to that level, right? If we didn't have, say, a downward sloping trend line and we just saw the price doing something like this, where it's kind of just going around and, that's the price, this is your RSI, and then there's really no trend line or anything in your way stopping you from getting back up to this level, and you see the price resorting back up to this high, well, yeah, your RSI can do the same. It's going to take that same relative level of strength. But to get back above that trend line, you're going to need to see a stronger move from the bulls. You're going to need to see extra, pressure. Well, what happens though is that as we start to get up to some of these levels and we start to work our way back up to some of these key resistance levels, it becomes harder and harder and harder to get up to them. And what you will start to see is that the bulls start to get a bit exhausted. We start to see this upper line start to slope off, a little bit similar to what we saw back here. And now what that tells us is that something important happens from that point forward. One of two things. The first option is that what will happen is that we will use so much of our pressure, so much bullish strength to get out of this thing that we just don't have enough bulls still left with money to spend in order to hold us up. And when we start to fall, we see the continuation to the downside. The longs who start going long at these levels, they start to get liquidated. We start to see the shorts kicking in, and we call this a bull trap, in which we get overextended here. We're pushing up too high. We're pushing them too fast. The bulls are unable to maintain that pace. We're seeing bearish divergence all over the place. Next thing you know, boom, big correction back to the downside. That's option number one. Okay. Now, what usually runs in tandem with that? An overextension in your Bollinger Band envelope, for example, on the daily charts. Well, where are we at? You guys can see we are extended into the top side of our daily Bollinger Band envelope. A fantastic example of this is back here. So what happened? Let's kind of take a look at what happened here. Okay, just so you guys can kind of see an idea of what a bull trap looks like. Okay, this was a mini bull trap. So what we can see is that we were, in this downtrend, and we saw the price just spike up out of nowhere and set two new local highs, which is huge for us back then. I remember that we broke this little trend we were in. We saw a break of the descending wedge. I mean, everything was looking fantastic. And look what starts to happen, right? We start to work our way up and we set an equivalent high. So here on our RSI, here on our price, boom. You put that in comparison to your previous highs. This is an equivalent high, boom, and which are at the same price, right? If we set that line there, you can see we hit the same area. Whereas in relation to the top up here, an extreme lower low. That's called exaggerated bearish divergence. That is a bad sign. Okay, that's a sign that we might see a correction back to the downside. Well, what happened? The price comes back down to this key level here, this key area of liquidity, clearly shown by this resistance. We failed to establish some support. The bulls were clearly just too weak to be able to hold up this price. And then we saw the price collapse back to the downside to set lower lows. So what we need to pay attention to is that at this point, and also as that happened, look what happened with your Bollinger Bands. Looky here. We got extended into the top side. Remember, what happens? What happens is that as you get extended into the top side of your Bollinger Band, you've made 2 standard deviations away from a key moving average. And what we know about crypto is that crypto can generally only handle 2 standard deviations away from a 2 standard deviations away from being from a moving average before eventually resorting back down to it. So generally speaking, when you are up into, extended into your moving averages, you will start to see some type of pullback or consolidation from that point. And a failure to establish support likely does lead us back to the bottom side in 2 standard deviations to the bottom. So that's why we go from swing high top side Bollinger Bands to swing low bottom Bollinger Bands. And then we went back up to the moving average, back down to the bottom side. You get the point, okay? So all of that to say that we are seeing something similar right now. So that's option number 1. And what's crazy, though, is I actually think that that's the least likely option. Let me talk about what option number 2 is. So option number 2 at this point is going to be something that's pretty important. Why? Well, option number 2 is that we come back and we actually can't continue up, or we consolidate at this point and allow this indicator to reset. Well, some people will say, well, Tyler, that doesn't make sense, because if the RSI and the price are going to run in tandem with each other, wouldn't it take the price falling to pull this RSI back down? And not necessarily. Not necessarily. Because remember, the RSI is simply a measurement of strength. It's kind of like trend exhaustion in a way. And even if the price does continue to consolidate or climb in a more weak manner in comparison to what we saw here, it still has the potential to see this relative strength declining while allowing the price to continue upwards, setting some higher lows, setting some lower lows here, which is called bullish divergence. And a bullish divergence is, relatively common, okay? Let's talk about what we saw back here. And let me show you what that would look like, because that is exactly what we saw last summer. This is the reason why I'm saying this is looking more and more and more like last summer, because as we were falling, I've been saying over and over again, this looks similar. These all look similar, although this one's a bit more stretched. If you take this and expand it out, it looked just like this. And so what we were paying attention to was the fact that this looked similar, and now this growth looks even more similar. Let me show you why. So what happened here? So as we broke out of the trend, let's go ahead and let's kind of just get this little trend put in here, okay? We broke out of the trend and we continued back upwards up until this point right here, till we were at 68 on the RSI. Where are we at right now? We're at 68 on the RSI, just to show you where that number came from. Right here, we're at 68. Right here, we're at 68. And what happened from that point forward is we continued up just a little bit, but you can start to see this upward trajectory started to kind of slope a bit. Then we got the blow off top here. Now, what happened? Well, the price did come back and it retraced a little bit. Nothing crazy, but, maybe a little bit of a pullback. What's that? Probably 10% or something like that. Yeah, little 10 to 11% pullback. Something pretty normal in crypto. Now, what happened from that point forward was weird. We started to see the price working its way back up. But as you can see, in correlation to this move to the top side of Bitcoin, the trajectory started to get a little bit more slopey, less vertical. The strength of this move was declining. And what was happening is that as we were seeing the strength of this move declining, we started to see this pullback in price. Now, this could have been considered bearish. They could say the climb itself is losing momentum. And what's very likely is that we're going to see a pullback due to the fact that our bulls are losing their strength. And that's exactly what we saw. But the way in which it played out was that we saw this still, we still started to see growth. We started to see the higher highs getting set back into our macro resistance level, even though the bulls were losing their touch. So as we are getting a bit extended right now into the Bollinger Bands, extended, we've seen before that as we work our way to the top side, what we need to be paying the utmost amount of attention to over the next 2 weeks, let's give it 2 weeks, is what is going to cause this pullback in the indicator here. Eventually, we are going to see something of this nature happen. It has to happen. Because realistically, if we continue upwards, we're going to see bearish divergence. The bearish divergence is going to say that this RSI is going down, Our price is still working its way back up. And likelihood is we're going to see one more capitulation event. Well, not even really capitulation, but just more of a pullback because the bulls are losing their strength and the bears will have some short-term success at some point. But if we are seeing that happen, that is still okay because likelihood is at that point we will set the higher low from what we saw back here and continue upwards. Or this is the big or. Like this is kind of the shitty or. Do we see the price work its way back down and we start to downtrend in perfect correlation with the RSI going into a downtrend? That would be a bad sign, in my opinion. Okay. Now, optimally speaking, let me talk about best case scenario of the worst case scenario. In the worst case scenario, we start to see the price starting to trend back down towards 40,000 as the RSI does so as well. If the RSI starts to move faster than the price, okay, faster than the price, that's important. And we see this RSI working its way all the way back down to similar levels, right? Say we even come back to this low right here. And the price is still somewhere up here, we're okay because we are seeing that bullish divergence and it's likely that we will set the higher low. But again, in the event that we start to see this price really tanking, correlated with this RSI making a similar move back to the downside, do understand we could see a push still back towards the low to mid $30,000 area, back towards 35 or even lower if we lose 35. The warning of the day is that our Bollinger Bands we are extended into the top side of. At any given point, we can resort back to that 20 simple moving average, similarly to what we saw back here. If we come back down and lose that 20 SMA and the price starts to really collapse as the RSI does so as well, this may have been a short-term bull trap that looks like we go into some continuation of a downtrend for a little while. That is on the table, and anyone who's sitting here saying it's not is a freaking liar, okay? Because we took so much strength and so much power, and it took so much drive to get us out from under this trend line and back up past this local high that we are now seeing the bulls reaching towards their peak. And we must see this indicator slow down at some point. So what does that mean for us? What that means for us is be careful right now. The price absolutely can continue upwards, and I'm not saying it won't. Now that we've broken the trend and now that we've set this higher high, yeah, likelihood is we are going to continue back to the top side. It is extremely likely, in my opinion, at this point, that we will see the latter option 2 play out, in which we do continue back to the top side. I think it's much more likely than we see it collapsing back down here, but we cannot ignore this. Because what do the whales like to do? The opposite of what everyone wants them to do. And so we need to be very, very, very careful right now, as we have now reached a point in which we are seeing overextensions not only on the daily RSI, not only on, the daily Bollinger Bands, but even up towards something like our stochastic RSI. Let's go get that pulled up quickly. I don't need this for now. Let's get the stock RSI pulled up. All right. This is peak. Now, back here, what happened? We continued upwards. The strength of this continuation to the top side slowed down, which saw our stock RSI pulling back. We again saw the larger capitulation event, or not even, I hate saying the word capitulation because it's not a capitulation if we're in an uptrend, but this pullback to the downside. And then the continuation, we set the higher low, which was the sign that we're gone, right? Once we came back up and re-cleared this previous high, we took off. That's what I'm looking for at this point, okay? It's extremely important that you guys understand we want to see this play out from where we are right now. Because everyone right now is just screaming, it's bullish, it's bullish, it's bullish, it's bullish, it's bullish. We're going to 52, we're going to 53, we're going to 55, 60, 70, 80. And they're not even paying attention to we don't have the room right now to do that unless this shit resets. We don't have the room. It is almost physically impossible. Could we range? Sure, but we will not be able to maintain that. It never does. It never does. We always see these resets. Always. But let's go back. Let's just go back and let's explore, okay? Price is working its way up. Here, boom. Indicator starts to reset as we consolidate. So this is beautiful. This is a consolidationary event. So this is what consolidation looks like as this indicator resets. Indicator resets. We come back down here. Boom. We start to work our way back up. We clear that local high there. Then we continue to the upside. Beautiful. In this event, we see the pullback. We see the pullback. Establishment of support. We see, looky here. Look how this played out. Bullish divergence. A low, a higher low, a low, a lower low. Bullish divergence. Key sign that we're going to work our way back to the top side. But what happens? These reset. Right here, The price just went all the way up, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful how it did it. And so that's a good example that we can consolidate, but it didn't maintain it long. And at some point, we do see that pullback. So is this me saying sell your positions? No, I'm holding. I'm holding on all my positions because we could very well see this happen, right? It's still very possible. But there is going to be something of this nature in which we will have to see these things come back. Then we have to look for the divergences on the bottom side. So what that means for me and how am I playing this? What does that mean, in general, is that I'm just sitting on my hands right now. Okay. Is there the possibility that this thing continues back up to $52,000 and we don't see a pullback and we just see this thing, just go up to 90? Yeah, it's possible. But personally speaking, I am not going to be confident. Let me make that clear. Confident that we're recapturing any of this until we see a reset somewhere around here. Because don't forget, guys, we are still under that bull market support band. If you want information on the bull market support band, go look at Benjamin Cohen's channel. I am not too egotistical to say that I watch other YouTubers. I definitely do. And whenever we are still under things like the 200 moving average, we still have a lot of resistance above us, and we don't have the room. We don't have the room here on this daily RSI for specifics, the daily RSI, to make that move. Okay. So where do we go from here? Well, realistically, where do I go from here is I sit on my hands and I hold. In an event in which we start to see the price working its way back down, okay, consolidating or working its way back down, and we see a bounce, that's going to be important. We see a bounce. This is the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is we see a pullback, and that's not even bad, right? Remember, we set the higher high here. So all we have to do now is set the higher low. So at any point, we start to work our way back up and we start to really confirm that a new local higher low has been put in, and we can see that our RSI has reset as well. I will still be accumulating at that point. Okay. If we start to see the price working its way up here and it continues upwards, I won't buy personally until we either see it consolidate or slow down to see this, happen, to see these daily RSIs reset, to see the Bollinger Bands reset. We retest that 20 simple moving average or something of that nature. Then that's important. Or if we work our way back up and we see a larger correction to the downside, similar to what we saw back here, which really gives us a bottom on the RSI, at that point, I will be accumulating. The only time that I will not accumulate on this is if we dead ass just continue back down, right? I am under the belief that, again, what's so big about crypto right now is we put in the local higher high. And so as long as we don't see a full-blown bull trap in which we go back down below $35,000, it is extremely likely at this point that we, even if we do pull back all the way towards 37, 36,000 bucks, that we put in the higher low and we continue back upwards. It is extremely likely. And so for that reason, I will be accumulating on the dips. But it's so important for you right now to not get caught up in the bullshit that's going on in everyone's minds, especially even my own, that thinks we're going to 60K, 70K, 80K, 90K. You have to understand that we don't have the room right now. We do not have the room right now. It is not possible. We need to see some type of consolidation, cool down, correction, small minor retracement to open up that door to get us back above those levels. It has to happen for us to break these resistance levels that we're approaching. Okay. Don't fall for the shit that they're feeding you everywhere. And that might sound a little bit crazy. That might sound a little bit over the top, but I don't care. That's my opinion. Now, what if I'm wrong? What if this mug just goes straight up past 69K? Well, I'll eat my words. I'll go on another live stream and say I'm wrong, right? And I missed out on a great couple buys on the way up. Is that likely? No, it's not. It's not likely. And I'm not going to sit here focusing on the not likelies because that's what I want to happen. I want Bitcoin to do that. But just because I want it to do it doesn't mean that I'm going to pretend that I think it's going to. I do not. Okay. This is not going to maintain. It doesn't have the room. Doesn't have the room. Right? So, why didn't Bitcoin go down after 7.5 CPI? I think we might be seeing a little bit of disassociation from the rest of the market. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I thought it was. I genuinely thought it was going to. Not going to lie. I thought if the CPI data came back bad, that it would be bad. But no clue. So that's my warning of the day whenever it comes to Bitcoin. Understand that at this point, I'm not really accumulating. I told you guys that buying on the trend could be a great small accumulationary moment. And some of you did that. I personally did not. I am very comfortable with the positions that I've been accumulating on, and I'm very comfortable with where I am in the market. And I still think there is a lot of room to the upside to the point that I don't need to be rushing. There's no point to rush right now. My personal belief is that as we are extended on just about every single indicator on the short term, but on something like the weekly, we still have so much room to the top side up here, so much room to the top side, paired with bullish divergence, because this is now a confirmed bottom, a regional bottom, low, higher low, low, lower low. That's bullish divergence. When we look at the fact that we have bullish divergence, plus the fact that we are below 50 on the RSI, below the halfway point, there is still an extensive amount of room to the upside. What does that tell me? What that tells me that there is a very, very, very strong chance that we can see this thing setting new highs on our RSI, which very possibly can be setting new all-time highs. There is that possibility there. I'd be a liar to say there's not, right? But what it comes down to is us taking the precautionary steps to making sure that if this is the time, that this is the time, right? We don't want to get caught up in the bullshit in which the daily RSI is getting overextended. Then we run into the 20-day simple moving average or the 20-week simple moving average and we bounce off of it. Then we got screwed. We spent so much cash in here buying into the bullshit that all the big YouTubers are talking about. And then we kind of got played. And then we missed out on some possible lower buying opportunities because the shorter time frames aren't allowing a larger move to the upside just yet. Okay. So I am under the belief that we are going to get back up to these levels eventually. But is it now? It's going to come down to how do we reset? How do we reset on some of these daily indicators? Because right now they're too extended. And that's okay. It's normal, but we have to see them slow down. That's the message of the day. Okay. So I'm not going to drag this out anymore. Focusing on Bitcoin. We're going to get into some altcoins in a second here and how I'm going about that. But please, just please, okay, be cautious. Right? Again, the market can continue upwards and it can climb and climb and climb and climb. That's not where I'm paying attention to. I'm paying attention to the indicators because they tell us what's going on under the surface. Are they causing that or not? Because even if you see back here, look at how beautiful it was that you can see the decline in strength. We're extended into our daily Bollinger Band, extended into it. But look how we start to interact within it. We're in it now. We're not extended outside of it. We're in it. That's what we need. We need to see us coming out from that extension and more healthily climbing. And then when we see the larger pullback, the ABC correction off of the 5 wave, which will come, this is going to happen at some point. Then we can really see more large scale accumulation. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. It's best case scenario that we climb and climb and climb before this happens. Because if this is what's coming next, it could put us back down, below some of our important levels that could cause us to be a big ass bull trap. So that's where I'm at with Bitcoin. I know I dragged that out a little bit. I don't know exactly how long in we are because we had 17 minutes. Okay, 17 minutes of technical difficulty. So we're about 20, 30 minutes in. So I'm going to leave you guys with that and I'm going to update you guys as it plays out. But please watch this. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor. You do what you want. Obviously, I'm not legally responsible for any of your financial decisions, but understand it is extremely important. Okay. I hate being that guy who's kind of going against the grain where everyone's in the market like, we're in a bull market and everything like that, which I believe we are. I hate going against the grain with that, but I'm not going to sit here and just watch my subscribers get wrecked. Okay. Pay attention. Let's talk about altcoins. Let's go ahead and let's just simply start off with total 2. Total 2 is going to be the total accumulation of all altcoins market caps. So what you do, you take the total market cap of all cryptos and you take Bitcoin out of that. And so you take Ethereum and all your top alts, every altcoin. This is their total market cap, currently sitting at $1.82 trillion. What's going on with this? Well, what we are seeing at the moment is to be relatively expected. All right, Biscuit Power, let's relax. We can see something very interesting going on here. And guys, if you do spam the chat, you're gonna get muted. My moderators, they get busy. Okay. So what happened here? Let's talk about why many of our altcoins have frozen over the last 4 days. So what happened with our altcoins is that, and remember guys, when we talk about crypto analysis and technical analysis, I'm not predicting the future and I'm not telling you what's going to happen. I'm simply just providing a little bit of clarity behind what is going on right now and how what we're seeing right now could affect the future from a different realm of outcomes. So we're going to look at 3 different outcomes. What could each one of these look like, and how do we confirm that that's what's coming? I'm not trying to tell you I know what's going to happen. I don't. I have no fucking clue at all. But it's just the idea of this is what it's looked like historically. This is what our indicators say, and then we can apply that to put together game plans. Just if that makes sense. So what we can see is that we were in a downtrend, obviously, very, very, very obviously, right? For total two. Again, this is all of our altcoins. And as we did get the breakout here, many of our indicators we kind of got extended, but not as extended as we did see from Bitcoin, and that is to be expected. We can see Bitcoin dominance has been working its way up, so Bitcoin has been outperforming alts relatively. Okay, so our alts are still underperforming a little bit. Now, this is good. That's actually a really good sign. Some people might say, "Well, Tyler, we're majoritively invested in the altcoins." Well, historically speaking, looking at bull markets, entrances into bull markets, what happens is that we will see Bitcoin run and then the alts. What usually looks like for bear markets is that Bitcoin will just consistently, continuously outperform the market because it's considered the more safe option, which is total bullshit, but whatever. And so whenever we start to see that Bitcoin's running and the alts are a little bit behind, it's a very good indicator that based off of what we have seen historically, we're very likely to see the alts follow it eventually once Bitcoin really starts to cool off, right? Because right now, Bitcoin is what everyone's talking about. We just saw the information that BlackRock, which holds or a little bit under $10 trillion in assets, because they're asset management company, they're going to be offering crypto services. So everyone's talking about Bitcoin. And so the fact that we're seeing Bitcoin running right now is bringing attention to Bitcoin. And that is the perfect setup for when Bitcoin slows down, the alts to go. So I'm preparing to mass accumulate alts. And what we can see right now is, well, how do we know the alts are running? Like, how do we know the alts are back in action? I actually can give you a very specific level that will generally give you that it'll give you a typical understanding of that, right? So what we're going to pay attention to is we have macro high 1, 2, and 3. And as we do have 3 highs that do accumulate onto one specific line, it's called a trend line. You need 3 points to make a trend line. Some people say 2, it's not 2, it's 3. 2 is like a 3 is a confirmation. So we have these 3 points on this trend line. We broke that trend line beautifully. Now what's happening is that as we break the trend line, what's step number 2? Yeah, let's go ahead and say that. Let's say what's step number 2? Well, let's make it 3 steps just to make it easy. Step number 2, once you break a trend line, is on the short term to reestablish support on top of the trend line. And as you can see, we went out, we broke the trend line here, the blue line, boom, boom. We came back, established some support on the hourly time frames. We held this key level of support very well. We had a mini expanded W bottom here in which we broke out of. We continued to the top side. So step number 2 was the support establishment. Step number 3. Step number 3 is the step that we are at now. Okay. What that looks like, again, we are on total 2, which is the total market cap of all altcoins. What we can see at this point is that now that we've established some support and are continuing ourselves back up to the top side, you got to look to see, well, do we recapture our previous high? Because understand something people get kind of misunderstood is the idea that when you break a trend line, you're out of a downtrend. No, you're not. No, you are not. Generally speaking, what's the definition of a downtrend? Lower highs, lower lows. People can add all this bullshit in the middle, but that's what it is. It's a lower high and a lower low. And at this point, still a lower high. Most recent macro low is still a lower low. So although we've broken out of the downtrend, we are not out of a downtrend. We broke this downward sloping level of resistance, sure, but we are still in a downtrend. So the goal, once you break the trend line, is recapturing the previous high that created it. So what that means is that now we have 1, we have 2, and we have 3. This is the most recent macro high that we put in on the trend. Now, generally speaking, the moment in which you recapture that high, you are now in the first big step of creating an uptrend. What's an uptrend? Keep it simple. Stop adding all this bullshit in the middle. What's an uptrend? Higher highs and higher lows. So what it tells us is that first step, what we need, a higher high. So we work our way back up. We need to set this higher high here. Boom. Macro higher high. What's step number 2? A higher low. That then opens the door for us to see the pullback, as long as we're above this level, to set the higher low. And now we're looking good for continuation to the upside. Well, that's what we're seeing on Bitcoin. Macro high, that put in on a trend. right here, broke out, cleared it. We've now set the higher high. So do understand that this move for total 2 is very likely to happen, okay, in my opinion. Now that Bitcoin has made the move, I am under the belief that we will see our altcoins making the move as well. But right now, am I mass accumulating on altcoins while we could possibly be in a, in some type of bull trap? Probably not. Probably not just yet. I'm a big confirmation guy. I like all my confirmations. Well, how do we get up there? Okay, how do we get up there? How do we get up to this level? Because this seems so freaking far away. Like, how do we get back up there? Well, obviously, we have to clear our Fibonacci's. And whenever we look at things like the 200 moving average, it's up here a little bit, and the 50 moving average we are running into right now. So that's obviously a big task. But the big key level that you always want to get back above is something called your 0.786 to 0.618 macro Fibonacci retracement zone. Now, I know that's a lot, but let me explain it. So what you're going to do, you're just going to go in here and you're going to look for this thing. It's 5 lines with 2 dots on it, and you're going to take that. What you're going to then do is you're going to go to your goal. What's our goal? Our goal is to recapture this high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Fibonacci and go up to that goal and click it. I'm then going to drag this Fibonacci all the way down to align with the very bottom in which we put in, the most recent macro bottom down here. Now, what this is going to draw out for you is your 618 to 786 Fibonacci zone. If you have my settings, it'll look like this. These are my settings here. Okay, this is what they look like. So what that means is that, let's go ahead. We don't even need our Fibonacci extension. Totally unimportant right now. Okay. What that means for us is that, generally speaking, if we are going to reverse back to the downside here and retrace, if we're going to call this a retracement, it's going to come to its retracement zone. Its retracement zone is the 618 to 786 box here. Okay. Michelle Brashear, my mother, is in the building. So what we can see, and I'm kind of keeping an eye on that internet there. Okay, we're good. So what does that mean? Well, if we are going to just have a general retracement, it will come up as high as the 786 level, bounce back off of it, and continue to the downside. It happens all the time. And we cannot really confidently say that this is anything but a retracement until we at least get back above that 786 zone. Because usually, more often than not always, because there are outliers, but more often than not, once we clear the 786 level, we will retest this high. Whether that means we go back up to it and we hit it and we bounce back to the downside, or whether we break through it, it is very likely that we come back up to retest it. So what does that say for us? If our goal is to get back to this high, think about this. If our goal is to get back to that high, and this is the door that is either going to open or close, we're either going to open that door and walk through it back up to this high, or run into a wall because that door is locked and bounce back off of it. We need to not get too excited until we get back above the 786, right? And so, considering the fact that we are seeing it stall here and consolidate here is a good sign, actually. Because what it's saying is, what happens normally when we hit resistance? What happens is that we have a trend line, we have a key level, we work our way back up. I'm paying very close attention. Hold on one second. Hoping we're not about to start lagging. Okay, I think we're okay. All right, the internet is starting to get rocky, so we're going to speed this up a little bit. Okay, so we'll run into it. We'll bounce right off of it. We usually just wick at it. So we'll see what a wick is like if this is your candle, there's like that thing on top of it, like the little stick. It's called a wick. It means that the price was able to get that high, but it wasn't able to close that high, and we got pushed back down. We'll usually wick up to it and continue back to the bottom side. But what's happening here is that we're actually holding it. We're not closing on the dailies above it just yet. But you guys can see that we're holding pretty well around it, okay, within this zone. Biscuit, you're all good. So what that means for us is right now, the key level to be paying attention to, screw looking at just any Solana or AVAX or whatever, be looking at the total market, because the total market is going to really give a good indicator. There can be outliers, like some that are just going to go, like AVAX right now, that are just going to take off on their own. But we need to just be paying attention to the broad market, because even those outliers are going to fall into place real fast if shit gets ugly. So what you need to be paying attention to is $1.182 trillion on total market cap too. That is the door for us to come back up and retest this regional high, which is currently sat around $1.282 trillion. So at this point, we're not there. We haven't seen that move yet. And that's another reason as to why, with Bitcoin getting extended, With our RSI for Bitcoin getting extended to a point in which it will need to reset, and our altcoins not just quite yet making the move above this level. That's the reason why I'm that one random ass dude who's on the street waving the crazy ass signs right now, like, hey, be careful, be careful. I'm not saying that this isn't possible, but I'm saying that caution is extremely, extremely necessary right now because we have not fully confirmed that we are completely out of the woods just yet. It feels like it. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking at my portfolio and I've recovered tens of thousands of bucks in the last couple of days. And I'm like, man, that feels nice. And we all love to see it. But until we get these final confirmations, looking at altcoins really making the moves we need them to, looking at Bitcoin itself just freaking resetting some of these extremely overextended indicators, the relative strength index, for example, until we're capable of seeing that happen, we can't forget. We look at something like that MACD. That's ugly. And although it is extremely possible and likely that we will see this reverse, if we get one or two more strong weeks, that's a threat. It's not it's not a guaranteed problem, but it's a threat. And so it's something to watch out for, okay? So overall, I do see the internet's acting weird, and that was just about really everything that I wanted to cover today. So I'm just gonna keep an eye on that. Am I good? Is my stream good? Let me know if I'm okay. If we're okay, we're gonna continue on. But if I'm lagging, I'm good. I'm just gonna call it a quits today, because the internet's been annoying. So overall, that's the caution. Don't don't take this as me telling you what to do, and don't take this out of context and post it on Twitter. You're weird, but don't just start panic selling because there are warnings. Okay, I'm good. Okay, all right, cool. Okay, don't take this as oh, the RSI is getting overextended. The daily RSI is getting overextended. We're starting to see that we're running into resistance for our altcoins and everything, and we're not seeing the clearing of the bull market support band. And I'm up 15, 20%, 30% right now, and I just want to get out because that's a big risk. You don't need to start panicking because of this. Okay, don't panic. Don't just fucking panic selling for no reason. If you want to, you can. Obviously, if you bought in down towards these levels and you're up now, yeah, sure, get out. Okay, I don't blame you. But I'm not saying this in order to freak people out. I'm saying this because it needs to be said. Because the biggest thing that will catch your ass off guard is crypto, where everything feels good. Everything feels like we are on top of the world. And then pew, right back to the downside. Or everything's boring and everything's ugly and no one likes it. And crypto's stupid and Bitcoin's going to 10K and ADA Cardano is not a stable coin, or ADA Cardano is a stable coin, whatever ADA's doing. And, crypto is useless. And Peter Schiff's stupid ass on Twitter is talking all of this craziness. And we're seeing all of this. And the next thing you know, crypto just takes off, right? If you're not prepared for every outcome, the one that you're probably the least prepared for is the one that's going to hurt you the worst. And that's just life. And so it's really important at this point that you focus on the fact that we need to see these indicators reset, and we still need to see on total 2 the ability to recapture these local highs. Until we do so, this shit is still in a downtrend, and this shit is just overextended. That's just what it is. We're making money. We're making gains. It's all good. But it does not mean we're out the woods. And you're going to see, I'm not going to name any names, BitBoy Crypto, but there's going to be a bunch of people who are like, $100,000 Bitcoin by March. First of all, I'm going to leave him alone. I'm always on his ass. I'm going to just leave him alone. Whatever. We're going to see that everywhere. I'm going to fall into it, right? I'm going to fall into the mindset of getting overly bullish at times, and I'm going to have to pull myself back down to earth, okay? I'm going to have to. My titles, listen, let's have a little quick heart-to-heart here. My titles, they get a little clickbaity sometimes. I just have to compete with the market, okay? I have to compete with other YouTubers. Everyone does it. And so to get people's attention, you just kind of have to. Just as long as my content stays authentic, just focus on that. Leave my titles alone. Okay. But you are going to see these stupid ass titles. You're going to see these stupid ass comments and these stupid ass words of things that don't make sense. Right now, especially. A $250,000 Bitcoin coming in 6 weeks. That type of shit. Until we see these short-term indicators reset, I say short-term, but I mean it's the daily. Until we see these daily indicators really cool off, that's not going to happen. So if something so big is in the way, and we're still in a confirmed downtrend on something like total 2, which is the total market cap of all altcoins, why the fuck are we out here saying that we're immediately going to shoot to the sky? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm so unhinged today, but it irks me. It honestly irks me because I've been in this market long enough and I've seen enough of these patterns and swings to the upside and swings to the downside and bull traps to see a lot of people lose money. I've seen it everywhere. I've seen so many people lose money and I've lost it myself. And I'm not going to sit here and let my subscribers do that. So the game plan again. Once we start to see Total 2 really recapturing this, I will start to look to really mass accumulate because at that point, it might feel like it's too late, but dude, we're still 50% from all-time highs on Total 2, and that's not even that's still factoring in Ethereum, which has a majority of control on this. Okay, there are hundreds of percentages of gains to come if we enter back into a full swing bull market. Waiting a couple extra weeks or days or however long it's going to be simply to confirm it, so you don't make a stupid ass decision, is never a problem. When the people are say just buy the dip, or it's going up, or it's green, you're going to be too late. You're going to be too late. Are you new here? Like, are you new here? Have you not seen crypto go up 100% in 2 months for no reason? There's no such thing as too late. We're all too early at this point, right? So I'm waiting for that confirmation. I would like to see that we are at least able to clear the 786 at 182 on Total 2 because that is going to be extremely, extremely, extremely important for us to recapture this local high back here, which is the door for us to really start to see the uptrend. For Bitcoin specifically, I need to start to see this slowdown. Okay, I need to see a pullback. I need to see a capitulation or a consolidation, or I need to just see, even if it continues upwards, that this starts to work in a bit of a rejective way in which the RSI starts to kind of pull back on its own. Likelihood is, if that does happen, we will see a bit of a larger correction, boom, and then the growth comes from there. That's really where the big money will be made from me, from when I'm going to do all my buying, okay? So we're looking good. We are looking good. We are not confirmed out of the woods just yet. And even as all this still happens, we're still under the bull market support band. Please go watch Benjamin Cohen's channel as he talks about that. It's important. So all of that to say, caution is important. If you're aping in right now, you could be very right. You could be very right. And I'm not going to say you're not. Does the data say that that is a wise decision? Not yet. Not yet. That chart that, I kind of talked about, is the price likely to go up? It's probably, in my head, it's flashing like maybe. It's kind of at a maybe. And then once we're capable of really seeing these shorter term indicators resetting, then it becomes like a probably. And I like to buy at probablys. I like to know it's probably going to go up. I could be wrong, but it's probably working its way back to the top side. Okay. What does that look like? Fortune favors the bold. Hey, do what you please. Okay. Also, pissed off favors the bold too. I'm not a super huge fan of exchange coins, but I definitely think there's gains to be made if we do enter into another one. So I'm not the best guy to ask about Crow. Well, what does this look like? So let's kind of take a look at some specific levels. Okay, let's talk about specific levels and things and goals that we need to keep an eye on. By the way, I'm going to be out of town tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, so there's no video until Monday. So do write down, screenshot, pay attention to these levels because you never know what will happen in the next couple days. So for Ethereum, where Ethereum's at right now, it is good. It's great. What we can see is that if we go ahead and pull up our Fibonacci's, Ethereum has cleared in 786 level and held it as support. So look on our 4-hour time frames. Let's just get rid of this macro Fibonacci. Let's just go to our hourlies and look what happened. So we went up. Total 2 needs to confirm the bull market. I would need to see Total 2 realistically. Look at this shit. I would need to see Total 2 back up towards 1.28 trillion above it. That's optimal. Facts. Get out, big boy. Big boy, you thought you were slick. Anyway, let's go ahead and let me get back on what I was doing. Where's Ethereum? Where's that? Oh, there we go. So for Ethereum, what we can see, we broke the 786. We failed to hold it, but we broke it. We held it that time, continuation to the upside. Now that this door is open, even if we do pull back to the downside here, we've cleared the 786. We're simply just running into some resistance right here, as you can see. We're running into like this little regional resistance right here, which honestly, if we break this, that's a good sign too. But optimally with Ethereum, let's get back above $3,400. That's a very strong sign. With Ethereum, we get back above 3,400. I'm going to look for that more macro pullback, maybe even all the way back down towards 3,100. And then I'm really going to look to accumulate. I actually did some buying on Ethereum in the Patreon throughout this little move right here. I actually may be able to show you guys that. Let me see. Just so it doesn't look like I'm talking out my butt here. Oh, we did it on stream, didn't we? Yeah, we did it on stream. Let me see. I did a little bit of buying on the 27th of January. When was that? Yeah, so we caught some decent buys. So I caught some Ethereum back down at this level right here. I actually show you guys just, to be a little bit more transparent. So this is my Patreon. I'm not going to show too much, obviously, but I had 3% of my available cash. I've been stacking cash for like 4 or 5 months. So 3% of my available cash was like decent amount, like a pretty substantial amount. I don't spend more than 3 to 5% on each trade I do, but I picked up 3% of my available cash on Ethereum on January 27th. And what you guys can see is that's done pretty damn good, I would say. That's about 2 weeks, and we can see that trade right there being on the 27th, which was right here, that one's up roughly 32%. So I'm pretty happy with that. You bought ETH at 2,500. Oh, did I? Okay. Oh, I bought it at 2,500. Okay, so let's see where we're at. I put it on Twitter, didn't I? Yeah, so we're up about right under 30% on that one in about 2 weeks. So that was a pretty fantastic gain there. But overall, with Ethereum, the level to be watching out for realistically is 3,400. We need to get back above that. But the fact that we've broken the 786 says it's probably going to happen. Okay. So yeah, so that's looking good. So Ethereum, the number to look out for is $3,400. Solana, dude. I don't want to I don't like talking my shit too much and kind of boosting myself up too high. But dude, I talked about this pull to the downside in yesterday's Solana video. I was like, be careful of this, of the fact that we're getting rejected off this trend line. Be looking to see probably a push back towards this ascending wedge, or bottom side of the ascending wedge. I actually think that we may continue back down a little. I don't know, but this was such a strong little bounce recovery. I'm not sure, but with Solana, we're still looking to see the trend line break here. We have not gotten the trend line break. Realistically, I'm not going to do any mass accumulating on Solana. I'm going to do a little bit of buying once we finally get back above $120. If we get back above, say, 120, let's say 123. Let's give it 123 back up towards this area. If we do get a bounce, that's where I'm going to buy some Solana at. Likelihood is we may see a little bit of a pullback, but I don't care. But I really am not going to do a lot of buying on Solana until we are capable of clearing the macro high, again, similarly to Ethereum, which is back towards $150. Okay, so we're still very far away. Some smaller gains to be made in this zone here, but I'm really more focused on this. Now, if I'm going to be buying Solana here, I'm actually going to set a stop loss at $94 back down here below this previous low. The reason being is we shouldn't statistically pull back to this level unless we're going to bounce under it. Okay. And so for that reason, any buys at this point now, or once we clear the trend line, will come with a stop loss set around this level. Okay. So Solana, nothing too crazy just yet, but definitely a lot of potential there. Let's look in Matic because that's one that we talk about on the channel quite often. I feel like I'm blind right now. Matic. Okay, looking at Matic. So of course, Matic it's chasing that, right? It's chasing it. So what we need to be careful of in crypto right now is I'm seeing a bit of, something that could possibly be these double tops forming. Not exactly sure. This was a big ass wick. So not really sure. Hold on one second. Limited taxis. Could you do TA on render one day? Love the anti-BS video. Just fine. Yeah. We'll do render today, man. Well, yeah, we'll check it out. I appreciate it, dude. All love. I appreciate the 10 pounds, dude. So what's good here is that we did set a bit of a higher low as we did capitulate, or I hate the word capitulation. Capitulation is like when you see a further correction in a downtrend. That's like a capitulation event, not really when you see that. Anyway, so we did kind of see a correction here back towards the downside. We recovered it pretty relatively strangely quick. But as you can see with Matic right now, we are still trying to retest and get back up to $2.40. The 786 level is currently sitting at $2.15. So until we get back above 215, nothing is there just yet for me to say this thing isn't gonna see some type of bounce towards the downside. So until this is kind of ruled out a bit, I would like to see us get back above these levels. So not just yet on Matic, but definitely probably pretty relatively soon. One thing we actually can monitor here is that there is that bottom side support. So it's always important to pay attention to, because what we definitely could see happen is this: a bigger bounce off of that correction, maybe to the 618, and then we go back up to either recapture it or trend under it. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this one. But not just yet. What I do like is, though, the fact that we are doing quite well at getting back above this previous low. So, of course, we do always have to worry about these support resistance flips, which we work our way back up. we hit this level. I was concerned about it. Not even gonna lie. I talked about it in a video. So we saw this low get put in. We saw this swing high to this swing low down here. And when I noticed that this 0.618 level was at that previous level of support, I was like, dude, if we see an SR flip right here, where the support turns into resistance and we bounce down, that could be pretty ugly. And I'm very, very glad that we didn't see that happen. Battery saver is on. Considering plugging in your device. I think my computer came unplugged. One sec. There we go. Okay. Anyway, so yeah. So anyway, with that said, let me get y'all pull it back up here. Sorry, my stream went off. So yeah, so looking at this, I would like to see Matic get back above 215. I would say that's optimal. That's the kind of the first big step for us to really, really start to make the progress we want. But as you can see, these confirmations are coming very soon. Let's look at so Adam was making an interesting move. So Adam is one I actually would like to accumulate on pretty soon here. So what we can see is, let's go here. So we have a macro level of support, and we are actually inching towards that macro level of support, which looks like to be something of this ascending triangle. Now, this is actually pretty interesting of a setup because I am under the belief that if we break the trend, we may we may actually see this if we see a bounce, another one, cool. But if we see the break of trend here, I'm actually under the belief that we might see some growth, and Adam definitely could be looking at some type of growth back up towards, 17, 18, possibly up to 40%. Does it set a new all-time high? I don't know, obviously. But I think Adam has a lot of potential. I'm liking what they're doing developmentally and fundamentally with their platform, the blockchain itself, and the token and all that good stuff. So I think that they're making a lot of progress, and the charts do support that. I like the fact that they're maintaining this macro level of support. I could see this thing really swinging upwards. Does it go and set the third point of the trend? Right? Does it go and do this? Who knows? Right? Do we see this push of what's that? 100+%? Very possible. I don't know, obviously, and I'd be a liar to say I do, but could be huge, right? If Adam goes up, dude, and works itself up and clears this high right here, this 3-point rejective high, and comes back down to the stop support, I will literally put in a lot of money here. Very confident there. Okay, so Adam is definitely one. That's why it's high up in the green list. I'm paying very close attention to it. Looking at Mana, so Mana's made every step that we needed to. Regarding your last Solana video, it touched the 105. Will it stay up or go lower? I don't know. It touched down here. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I was kind of just warning that was a possibility, but it doesn't really matter what it does. It can go up, it can go down. It doesn't matter until we clear the trend line. That's what's important. So looking at Mana's made every important move it's needed to. This is a testament to the metaverse to show that the metaverse is still here. This was something I needed to see. Okay, so with the metaverse, Flipping Patty says a lot of resistance around the 2,500 mark. Be careful, bro. Look in here. Got you. Which one is he talking? Oh, I'm blind. Okay. Anyway, so looking at Mana. So one thing I was relatively concerned about whenever it comes to the what's the word I'm looking for? The longevity of it was, were we looking at something that was a short-term excitement, right? Like we saw July of last year, we really saw the metaverse catching on. And like November, it really took off, and then we started to see Facebook and all the late to the party people really coming in and claiming their spot in the metaverse and doing all that. And then we saw the metaverse excitement kind of die for a little bit, and that was something that I was relatively concerned about, because I was like, okay, is it one of those things where it's just here today, gone tomorrow? Which I didn't think, but it's always a concern. You always got to acknowledge we always have concerns about stuff. Or is it actually here to stay? Considering the fact that something like Mana is outperforming everything else over the last couple of weeks is a testament to the metaverse, and says that this thing looks to be here to stay. Okay. So what's happening right now with Mana is the fact that we've very clearly worked our way out from the trend line, broken the local high. My crystal ball doesn't know. And it's holding here. Okay, so the way in which I'm going about Mana right now is I'm actually preparing a buy. I'm actually preparing a trade, but I need to see something real in particular happen. Now, what that's going to be is this needs to play out a little bit different. I'm not going to realistically really accumulate on Mana at this point until we start to see the rest of the market catching up, which is one. I want to see Bitcoin make that move that we're talking about. But I also would kind of like to see this thing slow it back down. Like where we are on the 4 hour charts is a little bit extended. On the dailies, we're not looking too bad. And we do have room to the upside. So on the shorter time frames, I mean, these buys could come in the next couple of days, the next couple hours. You never really know what happens. But I want to see the move out from this range. Okay. So at this point, if Mana does work its way back above 340, I'm actually going to do a little bit of buying. I'm confident with that. Even if we do pull back on a more long, larger macro correction, which I think will happen eventually, I'm okay with that. I'm really not too concerned. Of course, I do have averages way back down in some of these lower levels here. So even buying at this point, I am increasing my average a bit, but that's okay because I do like the fact that the metaverse is trying to confirm that it's here to stay. And the fact that we are seeing some growth at this point is phenomenal. Now, a way you could play this, it's up to you, obviously, is that if you look at the 4 hour charts, we look at the range of closes, and we can go ahead and say that this is a pretty consistent range at 338. If we break above this level, likelihood is we should continue for at least a little while. Okay, maybe even whether that means coming back to retest 390 or $4 somewhere up here, sure. But one thing we can also go ahead and say is that at this point, the loss of say $3.11 will likely result in us seeing quite a larger pullback to the downside, especially if we see some type of head and shoulders start to play out where we round off here. So, what I would go ahead and say is that if you want to buy right now, I would set a stop loss probably under this level, maybe at like $3. Um, but if I'm looking to accumulate, I'm probably going to wait to see 338 get cleared, and that would be a small buy. I'm not doing a lot of mass accumulating again until we are capable fully. Like I'm talking about fully capable of seeing the rest of this market work its way up because it's still too on edge. Too many of our indicators are too extended right now. And so I want to see these indicators slow down before I really start to mass accumulate. So small buys here could definitely happen. Stay tuned for that. A video should be coming soon. But at this point, kind of letting this range play out between 338 and 311. Just want to see where this thing goes from here. Okay. A get in price for Solana. I talked about this one earlier. Just kind of rewind a little bit. I talked about my two buys. Okay, I talked about towards this 120 area, and I talked about 150. Okay, just kind of zoom in, or scroll back a little. Someone said Phantom. Let's see, Phantom here. So Phantom is in a range. Okay, so I have two very very readily available trades that I'm willing to do pretty soon here. So what I'm expecting is that Phantom is in a range now, and it's been in this range for a couple weeks. So Phantom is ranging in between 238 and $1.87. So what I want to see at this point is that Phantom is capable of seeing this move in the breakout to the upside. The reason being that I'm not buying right now is because we have this high, we have a higher high, we have a high and a lower high. That's bearish divergence. That says it's more likely to break to the downside. But if the rest of the market does allow, it can very well do so because on other time frames, it's looking good. So when we're in these ranges, half of our indicators are green, half of our indicators are red, right? And so whenever we see that flip, I don't even try to guess. I just wait for the breakout. If Phantom loses $1.85, do expect it to retest the bottom side of this triangle here, right? We have 2 points and may come down to put in point number 3. If we see the break above 238, it will likely push up back towards $2.64, which could be a short-term trade of 10% if you'd like to take that on. Or likely, I'm going to just buy and hold and hope that we do come back to retest the top side back up here, which could look like some type of growth back up of 30+%, and hopefully look to really go back and clear these all-time highs and really continue this up, right? We've been in a bit of a with Phantom over the last couple months. We have been in what has seemed to be, a bullish pennant in a way. This consolidationary event, allowing some of these more macro indicators to reset, which is beautiful. Looking at the weekly RSI, for example, you guys can see it is resetting its way back towards the bottom side. And because of all those reasons, I do think that Phantom has that ability to make that move, and I wouldn't be really accumulating until we can see that clearing of 238. That's where I'm at. Now, actually, this time frame here, we could technically be looking at a closing inverse head and shoulders. We also could be looking at something like a cup and handle pattern forming. So all of those things still just do to get confirmed at 238. There's a lot of bullish sentiment that comes with the clearing of that level. Um, whew, hey Tyler, just stop. Let me get some water. John Torres, long time no see, homie. Hey Tyler, just stopping by to say hi. Thanks for the technical analysis. Can you take a look at ADA? Also, will Gem Finder series come back? It'll come back one day, maybe. Not my focus right now. Microcaps aren't my focus right now. Yeah, we can look at ADA, absolutely. Let's see where that thing's at. ADA. So the biggest thing that I've been saying with ADA recently is, it's kind of doing what ADA does. In that it's not doing much. One thing I don't like about ADA at the moment is the fact that we are again seeing this overextension right here. Bollinger Bands are looking pretty extended into the top side of at this point, but they are still squeezing due to the fact that there is no volatility right now for the most part. And so it will be very easy for this thing to swing back towards $1 or swing up towards $1.34 because there is no volume, there is no volatility. But as we can see, we are seeing, lower highs here, and we're almost at equivalent highs already, which does look like some type of bearish divergence there. But what is good is, of course, we did see a correction here. So lower high, lower high. So overall, ADA at this point still needs to get back above this downward sloping trend line. I'm giving it $1.46 before I buy it. So I always buy a little bit of ADA anytime it goes below $1. I've always done it, and I will continue to do it. But if I'm expecting that it's going to make a move back to the top side, I would definitely need to see that ADA is capable of making its way back up above 140, 146, $1.46 for sure. Make this clearing here, whether that looks like this or, something of that nature, because at this point, it's not moving like I would like it to, and it's not showing me signs of potential like other alts are right now. Okay. Looking at render. Go ahead and check this out. Reindeer. So the biggest thing with render, obviously, without looking at it previously, is that we do have this trend line, right? Now, can we look at Superfarm? Yeah, we can look at Superfarm. So this is the biggest thing with render, and this is a very, very easy thing to fix, is that with render, we have a very clear level of rejective high sitting at $4. And now that is a super, super, super strong psychological level. And so for that reason, the biggest thing that I would say is that at this point, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me to be buying it until it clears $4. Now, it technically speaking did put in a higher high, right? So on this bounce, it worked its way back up and it set this higher high. I'm not very convinced by that, considering the closes were still back around $3.70. But it would be extremely important if this thing does work its way back up, whether it looks like this, for it to break its trend line and get back above $4. That's the level of accumulation that says bull market likely, bear market probably not going to happen. Now, what I love about render right now is the fact that looking at it, we can see actually that we're not seeing too much of an extension off of this move. This is a very healthy move, right? We can see highs, pretty equivalent highs, lower high, lower high. So this thing is not moving out of proportion. It's actually moving quite well. It just gets important that we're capable of clearing this level, because right now, if you're buying, you are putting yourself at risk of seeing a continuation of this roll to the downside, and it doesn't make a lot of sense of accumulating at this point. Now, in terms of downside, anyone who spams is going to get muted. I'm telling you, my moderators are trigger happy. So kind of paying attention to this one, if we do start to see closes back below, let's look at the 4-hour charts, but I'd like to say 327 looks like a very relatively strong level. Yeah, so we can kind of see this level of rejection here playing out very important. If you start to see 4-hour closes below $3.21, I would probably expect this thing to push back towards, this 250 area around here. Okay. So definitely be wary of that. Now, if it works its way up past $4, we of course do have a bit of a W bottom here. Also looking at something of a, bullish, possible leaning bullish flag there, continuation pattern. So I would be looking for, again, the clearing of $4. So, I think it was limited. Yeah, limited. That is kind of my answer there. Be looking for that breaking of this rejected high at $4. That's the only really justifiable buying entry that I can give you right now. Okay. We of course are looking at something of a W bottom there as well. A lot of bullish implications say it can happen, but it's not happened yet, and there's no point in saying it's going to until it does. which sounds stupid, but you get it. So again, the fact though that we are seeing a bit of this, you know, forming at the top side is a great sign that that move may very well happen. Okay. So that's my take on render. Again, I've not done chart history on render. I don't know the chart history of render and I don't know what it does. One sec. Did my computer come back on charge? I don't know why my computer keeps coming on charge. It feels like a ghost is playing with me or something. But yeah, so I have not done much technical analysis on the history of render token, and I don't know what the charts do, but that is my just kind of basic formula for evaluating a downtrend like that. Okay. We can go into near protocol is one that I have been seeing a lot in the chat. Near protocol. I've heard so much about this one. I've just never really looked into it. I get a lot of spammy bot comments on it about it, and it gets annoying. So I don't really like those. But looking at this thing here, micro uptrend there, very clear, I would say. Again, I don't know the chart history on this one, so do bear with me as I am just kind of free handing it at this point. Yeah, no, my internet and my charger's coming unplugged. It's weird. Let me make sure it's charging. Plugged in. Okay. So looking, so we have that clear level there. This has been doing pretty damn good, actually, looking at it. Let's see what our indicators are saying. So this is a good example of what, I'm kind of looking for Bitcoin to do. You guys see how it's still trending upwards, but the slope has kind of pulled back a lot from this upward slope. And so although we are going upwards, our indicators are resetting themselves. That's what I want to see from Bitcoin. So the people who were in here earlier when we were talking about Bitcoin, that's something similar that I'd like to see. Okay. So that's a great example. And because what you can see is like as we work our way up, though we do see sometimes these cases of bearish divergence in which we say higher highs and lower highs, which says that the bulls are getting exhausted. As we do see these swings to the bottom side, we're setting higher lows and we are establishing these bullish divergences in which we can see the RSI setting lower lows, the price setting higher lows. So this looks great, honestly. I'm actually really liking what we're seeing here. In terms of buying right now, this is a very weird chart. I'm not gonna lie, because there's not much of a actually. That's interesting. I always start with trend lines and then I go from trend lines to indicators. So what I would say with this one is that it seems as if, to me, we had a very, very clear level of rejective highs back here, right? Very obvious. We then worked our way up past them. We started to set the higher highs, and boom, we saw a great price explosion back to the top side of what I would assume to be the 382 to 0.5 level. Give me one sec. That looks like a minor temporary break of the 0.5. Let me see. Yeah. So, okay. So we came up to the 0.5 Fibonacci, and we bounced back down to it. I'm assuming the 382 is around here somewhere. Let me see. Yeah. So we came back down, and we're back testing. So, okay, so this is what happened. So we had a clear level of rejective highs. We broke those rejective highs. We came up to our macro Fibonacci 0.5, which does happen sometimes. We are using that macro Fibonacci 0.5 in order to push us back down into something of a descending wedge, which is typically bullish, in order to retest this level of rejection back here. We're looking to see this resistance to support flip. So what I would say is that if we can see these 4-hour closes maintaining above $12.10 and are capable of working our way back up above 13 cents, it is likely that this growth is going to happen. Okay, and a retest of these levels. So in the short term, I would be aiming for $13. That's where if I could see a 4-hour or even a daily close above that level, that would be a great sign that this level was held as support and that we what's up, Neon Panda? And that we, maybe put in something of a W bottom and are likely coming back to retest this level. In an event in which we do lose $12.10, I would expect to push back probably towards some of these lows. Let's kind of see if there's anything micro, kind of this micro level of support, maybe as low as $10 to $11. I would expect some type of pullback here. Okay, like that's what I would think. Maybe another 10% or so. So that's what I would say. Give it a range. Look at the range between 13 and 1210. Clear 13 feels like a strong chance. We do see some growth to the upside there. I would say even if it backtests, that's even better. But if you start to lose this level, this previous rejective high, probably going to see a fall there. That's speculative, but I do like the fact that on these shorter time frames, very clearly, looking to set the higher low already down towards the lower low. That says bullish divergence, which means that probably speaking, even if you do break down, you'll probably set the higher low somewhere around these levels. Okay, so not not terrible, not terrible for sure for near. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. I like this long term though. I like this growth it's been doing. Now something to always monitor though is that we do have these two macro lows, and we do seemingly have something of this going on right now. Okay, I would say it's pretty fair to say that's the channel. So do be aware that this can happen at some point. Just be careful. Because near is new, right? Near is relatively new, ain't it? That Project Quantum earlier. That's 23. No, it's not that new. Okay, so it's pretty big. Yeah, I would just be careful. Okay, just be careful. Like, I don't know. If it starts to break out of this channel at some point, then that kind of changes the story a little. But I mean, even at this point, if it just continues this pattern, I mean, it could still double, triple back up to the top side here. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I need to do more research. I don't even know what Near Protocol does. Okay, so to be honest, so I don't know if it can maintain these levels fundamentally. I have no clue. I'm not going to sit here and lie. So just be careful of this being a possibility based solely off of technical analysis. Probably not as likely now that it's reset. Probably not as likely because last time we started to see it reset like that, towards some of these lower levels, the price did the same. Whereas still it's maintaining while this doesn't make this reset. So this next big swing up definitely could push it out of here. Interesting. I'll keep an eye on there. I actually added to my my list, my keep an eye on list. Cool. Okay. Think. Okay. So, man, we're at an hour and a half. Did you announce it for Bitcoin? Yeah, go 17 minutes in. I had 17 minutes of technical difficulties. Also, okay, so whenever I've been talking to you guys about doing all of this buying, I've been talking about it in videos. I've been talking about it in Patreon live streams. I've been talking about it everywhere, guys. I'm doing it all on iTrust Capital now. So I kind of did the math, and I realized that whenever I am having to pay up to 40% on every single gain that I'm making every time that I buy and sell crypto, it hurt my stomach. I mean, it literally hurt my stomach to realize I'm losing that much money to taxes. Realistically, whenever I got into crypto to kind of start taking steps away from the bullshit that goes on in the government, right? And I think some of the taxes and the capital gains taxes, I think a lot of them don't make sense. And I think that whenever we make money in crypto, I think we should be able to keep it, right? And so I've been doing a lot of time spending looking at retirement accounts, but not only just retirement accounts, but just tax-free accounts in which I'm holding Bitcoin long-term. I'm holding Ethereum long-term. I'm holding these cryptos for as long as I possibly can, because the longer you hold in the crypto game, in my opinion, the better off you're going to be. And so considering the fact that I intend to hold it for so long, why not put it into something that when the time comes that I want to sell it, I don't have to pay possibly up to 40% on what could be hundreds, if not millions of hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars one day. If we see Bitcoin hit 300K in 10 years, right? If Bitcoin hits 300K in 10 years and it's a 10X from here, right? I mean, some of us, even if you have a fourth of a Bitcoin, you're still looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars in gains. That if you have to pay up to 40% on, you could be paying $40,000, $50,000 on every single one of those Bitcoin, okay? So it makes no sense to be doing that. And so I've been using iTrust Capital. Now, iTrust Capital is going to be a crypto retirement account. Basically, there are criteria. You have to hold it for a certain amount of time and all of that good stuff. They offer a lot. I'm going to be posting a full video on how it works really soon. But this is all I ask from you, okay? Go go open an account and come to this sign-up page. It's free. It's 100% free. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to spend any money. If you do fund your account, you'll get $100, but you don't even have to do that. All I ask for you is fill out this easy information right here. They're going to send you an email. Go verify your email. And when you verify your email, it allows you to see the things they offer. See if any of it works for you. That's all I ask. I don't care. I don't care what you do from there. You fund the account, you do that. Cool, fine, awesome for you. And I think it's amazing. At least just go see if anything fits for you and makes sense and works. Because none of us should be losing that much money to taxes if we don't have to. Makes no sense. Now, I'm not trying to be Wesley Snipes. This is all legal, obviously. But it's worth looking into. Okay. So go do that. Like now. Right. So the link, I'm gonna actually go ahead and post you guys a link. I do have a link. I have a partnership with iTrust Capital, and so of course everyone who does create accounts, it is beneficial for me. That's very, very transparent and obvious. I don't really have any opinion. I don't care. I'm okay with telling you guys that I am partnered with them and it is beneficial to me. But the only reason I partnered with them is because I'm passionate about the fact that none of us should be spending that much money. Right. None of us should be spending that much money on taxes. It's stupid. Not with the gains that we're about to see. Okay. So here is the link. Boom. Okay. Go check it out. Oh, I almost just muted myself. Okay. Lastly, I will show you guys this. It's not something that I one sec. It's not something that I really talk about that often. I usually just kind of put a bit of a banner. I use KuCoin if you're in New York. It's not something that I talk about super often. It's not something that I usually just put a little bit of a banner and tell you guys if you want to look, go look. But we have a few spots open, so I'll let you know. We do have a few spots that have now opened over in the Patreon, guys. Okay, so I don't ever try to just encourage people to go spend money to get on the Patreon. I think I offer a lot of info there. I post all of my trades there. I post every single crypto that I'm looking into, technical analysis. I do live streams just like this one 4 times to 5 times every single week. I post master classes. I have another master class coming out on Saturday. I do a lot in the Patreon, okay? And all of that information you will be able to get access to on the channel publicly for free eventually, but the majority of it is available over in the Patreon. And so I would say if that's something you're interested in, go check it out. I have 4 spots that just opened up for the $7.99 option. And of course, the $12.99 option, which comes in my research, my master classes, all of that is fully open. I don't want to ever limit that. All I ask, just go check it out. Okay. That's all I ask. There are people in it. Of course, we have about 390 people in it right now. And of course, that is going to continue to grow and these spots will fill. I'm not trying to encourage you to do it. Of course, I will try to offer as much information publicly as I can, but I can only go live on the public channel a certain amount of times a week. I can go live on there every day. Okay. So if you want information just like this, 30 minutes to an hour long streams 4 or 5 times a week, go check it out. If not, it's totally okay. I will be on my channel. I'm not charging people for shit that can make them money. That's stupid. Okay, so other than that, mi amigos, I do believe that is realistically about it. Hey, Tyler, it's super hard to get somebody on iTrust Capital to give you a call back. You have to schedule an appointment, times you can't make it. Try several times just calling them direct, but no go. Okay, I will talk to them about that. Hey, John, send me an email. My email is tylerhillinvesting@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let me know what you need. Like, what do you need help with? I will call the guy I work with there, and I'm going to see if we can set you something up. Super easy, super simple. I got your back, bro. So yeah, just let me know. Okay, John, I appreciate the $20 though, dude. All love, homie. And that is how is this? Is that a fish? That's a sick fish right there, John. I want to go fishing soon. Anyway, so that's going to be about it from the stream. I apologize for the 17 minutes of technical difficulties. And so for that, I did extend the stream on a little bit longer. If you guys did enjoy, I did ETH analysis already. But if you guys did enjoy the stream, please just let me know by touching the like button. You don't have to smash it. You don't have to punch it. You don't have to break your phone. Just touch it. Just a little bit of boop. One of those. Real easy. And yeah, it will help me out. It'll get this video still trending. More people will be able to see it later on. And it will be super beneficial to me and my channel. And of course, I would appreciate it greatly. I do a lot of things over on Twitter now, guys. I do a lot of stuff over on Twitter. This is kind of like my little space now. I love Twitter. So if you guys do want even extra content, please do go follow me on Twitter at TylerHillYT. That's where I have been doing some posting. It's me. By the way, I'm an MMA fighter. For those of you who don't know, that's like a little picture that we had taken for the fight poster. But I've been doing videos in here, technical analysis every now and then. Please go follow me on Twitter. I'm trying to grow my presence there as well. And yeah, I do believe that's about it. So of course, I hope you guys did enjoy today's stream. If you guys did, then just tune in for the next one. I mean, that's about it. Really, tune in for the next one. Check out the Patreon. Check out iTrust Capital. Go make an account and verify your email. It is important. And yeah, peace out, peeps.